So, let's continue, and now we're going to follow Tom Boothe way. Tom is from the US in Paris. He's an American in Paris, and he's a filmmaker. He's also a ethnologist, and he has a mad project, which is to create La Louve, and he will describe this. He's a co-founder of La Louve, together with another person. And when we met in Paris during the pre-Court-bouillon days, we were fascinated by the fact that he was very at ease to talk about a simple yet complex topic about food. So Tom will come and do the presentation in action.
Hello and merci. Si je parle en anglais, qui ne me suit pas? Au lieu des cases, d'accord. Donc je l'ai écrit en anglais, donc je vais faire en anglais. Désolé. Okay, donc so we're making a supermarket that's called the Louvre, which in English is called the She-Wolf. And if you're going to pick out the worst name for a supermarket in English, it would be the She-Wolf. And but in French, we like the word. We think it sounds good. And why did we call it the Louvre? We like this word. One, we just like the sound of that word, Louvre. Ça sonne bon. It has a nice sound in French. Also, Louvre being a she-wolf, we like that it's at the time something that's independent, like what they say in French, like nourishing, nourricière, and protective. Right? And so that's the idea of our supermarket. Now, I'm going to talk today about us a little bit, but also about the supermarket that we've modeled ourselves on, which is a supermarket in Brooklyn called the Park Slope Food Co-op. Who knows that co-op, just out of curiosity? Anybody? Just a couple of people. Good. Okay, great. So when I describe this, so it's a special model that I'll show you in a second, and we're trying to put it in place here. We don't exist yet. The Louvre will open its doors if everything continues to go well in 1 year, almost 1 year exactly. So far it's going great, but we talk with the people in Brooklyn to set up a supermarket of the same model. So maybe, as you said, I do films, and so I've done a 7-minute version of a film that explains the concept of Park Slope, what they're doing there. So.
I think the line can start moving up now. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? What do you do for a living?
I'm an elementary school teacher.
I sounded like quiet. I was so angry by the time I got home. So mad at myself.
Sure. What do you do for a living?
I'm a social worker. Yeah.
Et voici le Park Slope Food Co-op, qui, tout en payant un prix plus que juste aux fermiers, propose une alimentation, beaucoup disent la meilleure à New York, à des prix incroyablement bas. Comment est-ce possible? Pour avoir le droit de faire ses courses à la coop, il faut y travailler, à titre bénévole, 2 heures et 45 minutes par mois. À l'époque où Park Slope était fondé, dans les années 70, de telles petites coopératives étaient nombreuses, mais celle-ci est rare en qu'elle a gardé son obligation de travail tout au long des années 80, une période où la plupart des coopératives avaient disparu ou bien changé leurs règles pour que l'adhésion ne s'y fasse plus sur une base de travail bénévole, mais pour un droit d'inscription contribuant au capital du magasin. Aujourd'hui, en pleine crise économique, le nombre d'adhérents à Park Slope a monté en flèche pour atteindre 16 000. Et il ne peut pas aller plus haut, il n'y a plus de place. Déjà, la coopérative a racheté les bâtiments à côté, augmentant la surface de 500 à 1000 mètres carrés, mais elle ne peut plus s'agrandir. Elle est bloquée de part d'autre d'une caserne de pompiers et d'une école catholique. Aujourd'hui, il peut arriver donc qu'on fasse la queue, même avec 11 caisses opérationnelles, pendant 40 minutes.
We have the next person down here, please.
Okay.
Et se frayer un chemin à travers le magasin nécessite qu'on fasse ce que les membres appellent la danse de la coop. On bouge, on s'arrête, on dit tous les 10 secondes « Pardon, excusez-moi, pardon ». Des contrôles minimaux ont été mis en place pour réguler le flux de nouveaux membres, Et le Coop accepte maintenant que ses membres puissent faire leur travail mensuel en aidant une des 6 autres coopératives alimentaires en New York qui se dépêchent à ouvrir afin de satisfaire cette demande énorme. Donc, tous les caissiers, tous les manutentionnaires sont des bénévoles. Les gens qui répondent au téléphone, ceux qui découpent et emballent les fromages, ceux qui viennent à 5h30 le matin pour réceptionner les livraisons, et ceux qui balayent à 22h30 juste après que le magasin ferme, tous font leur travail gratuitement. Au total, 75% de la main-d'œuvre à Park Slope est bénévole. C'est ce système participatif qui lui permet de proposer des prix tellement bas pour une alimentation d'une qualité tellement bonne. Dans la plus grande chaîne des magasins bio aux États-Unis, les brocolis coûtent 5,25 € le kilo. À la Coop, ils coûtent 3,25 €. Les avocats bio dans cette grande chaîne sont à 2 € la pièce. À la Coop, ils coûtent 1,05 €. Ça, c'est moins cher que les avocats non bio au supermarché normal du coin. Ezekiel 4:9, des céréales bio bizarres pour le petit déjeuner qui suit fidèlement une recette qu'on trouve dans un chapitre de la Bible et qui, aux États-Unis, est très appréciée des amateurs de vie saine, qu'ils soient athées ou croyants. À la Coop, elles coûtent 2,90 €. À la grande chaîne bio, elles sont à 4,55 € le paquet. Et le cream cheese de la marque Philadelphia, une espèce de fromage tartinable, un peu plastifié et loin d'être bio, mais indispensable pour beaucoup de New-Yorkais pour étaler sur leurs bagels. À la chaîne bio, 2,40 € la boîte. Au supermarché normal, 2 €. Et à la Coop, 1,15 €. Ce modèle, fondé sur le travail bénévole, a un autre effet important, un surplus de main-d'œuvre. Faire ses courses à la Coop est, dans une certaine manière, une expérience de luxe. Ceux qui ne sont pas les manutentionnaires ou caissiers sont, par exemple, je ne sais pas comment on appelait ce poste, la personne qui t'accompagne à pied, chez toi, à ta voiture ou à ton arrêt de métro, et puis ramène ton chariot pour toi. Ou bien il y a une trentaine de personnes qui produisent mensuellement un journal qui parle des enjeux de la Coop et qui aide passer le temps quand tu fais la queue et qui en fait s'appelle The Line Waiters Gazette ou, en français, la Gazette des faiseurs de queue. Il y a des postes pour les gens qui font des choses comme organiser des concours de talent ou des soirées de cinéma et, essentiel, 5 nuits par semaine, il y a quelqu'un qui lave les jouets. Pourquoi laver les jouets? Parce que ce surplus de travail bénévole permet aussi à la Coop d'avoir une crèche où tu peux laisser tes enfants alors que tu travailles ou que tu fais tes courses. What's your name, first name?
Gina,
Where are you from?
New York City.
Did you grow up here?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
I work at the utility company.
How long have you been a member of the Co-op?
About 30 years.
What do you think of the Co-op?
I love it.
Hey, I'm Diana Grasse. I'm Ari's wife. I'm originally from the Bronx. And we've both lived in Park Slope for 34 years, and I'm a psychotherapist and a farmer.
And what do you think of the Co-op?
Love it.
I mean, we love it. I mean, you meet wonderful people here, and the atmosphere is great.
Right, I can't see shopping any other way. It's a good model.
Yeah.
Just I think a good model for the future
The future of?
of the country. It's just a different way of doing things, less materialistic.
Because people are
Not all
very-
about profit.
So my name is Tanika. I am from Jamaica originally by nationality. I grew up right here in New York, was raised in Queens, and I'm a chef educator for a living. So I teach people how to cook and eat foods in season and make it fun. I really, really love the Co-op. At all of the places where I teach, I encourage my students to become a member, especially when you're trying to eat things locally and seasonally. I mean, you can get fiddlehead ferns here, you can get young garlic, spring onion, young onion, and ramps, leeks that are all freshly brought in, and so that is amazing.
So in terms of supermarkets, not farmers market, this is the best place in New York to get produce?
Yeah, hands down by far.
Okay, my name is Christopher Forrester. I'm from Trinidad, migrated to America in 1988, and I am employed with the New York City Transit as a train operator.
Right. What do you think of the co-op?
Well, I've been a member of the co-op for over 10 years, and it is really, really good. It's difficult for me to eat the way I'm eating right now if I'm not a member of Park Slope Food Co-op. It costs me a lot more money.
Okay. You can watch it again. Yeah? Okay. All right. So that's what we're trying to do in Paris. We're setting up in the 18th arrondissement. So we're setting up in a working class neighborhood. And that makes sense. I mean, we could set it up. I mean, we're having so far really a lot of success with the project, but it makes sense because, like this last guy who's talking, the great thing about that project is it really solves for us the problem, which is it is possible to get excellent food. It is possible to get excellent local, bio, good-tasting food, but not for everybody. And so one great thing about this model is that makes it available for a lot of people, not everybody, but it makes it available for a lot more people. The other great thing, of course, and some people said it, is the ambiance that's created, right? And so when we have this question of can food become or re-become a source of inspiration and of making links? When talking about supermarkets, the problem or the way I think that you should phrase that question is, how in the world did we make it so that the place where we get our food is a sterile, horrible place that you would never want to spend more than 15 minutes in, right? Historically, it's completely aberrant. That's the social place is the market, right? That's the social place. You like to spend time there. But there is nobody in France, in America, in any country that I know of, that says when they're in a good mood on a Saturday, hey, I'll go down to the Monoprix for a few hours. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen. So the thing I want to talk about, or I thought it just with the theme, I could talk about all kinds of other things. There's 200,000 things I could say about this model that are fascinating to me, and I hope to you. But the thing I think is interesting is what really attracted me about this place. I was never a member of Park Slope of the co-op in Park Slope. I have friends who are members, and so about 8 years ago I discovered it. And the thing that struck me outside of the prices, people save. I'm doing a feature-length film on this co-op that'll come out in the winter. And I did an interview with a woman. This is a very modest family, two, a husband, a wife, and a daughter. They save about $250 a month by shopping at the co-op. So I mean, it's amazing how much money people save by shopping there. But even better, what even struck me, and for a lot of people that I talked to, it's the same thing. What I love about it is that I walked into that place, and it was the first place I've ever been in, where commerce was happening, which is to say money was being exchanged for goods, but I didn't perceive anybody in the place as being a consumer, right? Because I actually don't like that word, consommateur, j'aime pas le mot, right? One, it reminds me of tuberculosis in English, which I don't want to be associated with. But the other thing is, when you accept the word, for me, and I know people use that word and like it, and consommateur, I don't like that either, right? But because to me, what that says is it says this thing that is a human activity, which is an archetypal one for human beings, which is to say we go and we get our food in this social way. When we say I'm a consumer, that says I accept that the ultimate definition of that thing is what I am as an economic unit, to be studied, have my patterns studied, have my habits studied, and maybe more insidiously a little bit, not only have them studied, but maybe so that the end is that somebody can create some new things that I don't really need, and make them available for me in a way that I am tempted to buy them. So I reject that word. I don't like the word consumer, and I don't have a word to replace it, which I think is good. And so I wanted to make a citation from Karl Marx, if I can do that in this endroit, which is a beautiful one. Everybody knows who Karl Marx is, right? And I'm paraphrasing him. He said something that I think is really lovely, which he said, look, the whole point of this, and he's talking about socialism or communism, I'm talking about our supermarket, is that so one day, instead of having fishermen, we have men or women who fish. See the difference? And one day, instead of having, he said, his examples were that shepherds, right? We have a man or a woman who does herding. I don't know what we would call that. Or instead of having critics, we have men or women who choose to go and do some criticism. So I think that's a really lovely idea, and I like that you can't give a name to what that person is, because it's an integral human personality. That's what's really attractive to me about that. One quick thing. So I need to, good. So what I do see that at Park Slope, a little bit, even though that sounds grandiose, I do see that there's a little bit of that taking the thing out of something that's very objectified and quantified and rationalized into something and becoming a very human experience. And that's very inspiring to me. Now, this next clip I'm going to show, there's somebody who talks about another supermarket in New York, in America, called Whole Foods. Does anybody know Whole Foods? Yeah. So Whole Foods it's an extremely successful business, right? And it's different than a lot of the organic supermarkets in France in the sense that it is at the same time mostly bio, mostly organic, but it's also kind of gourmet, luxury. Okay, so this woman in this video, she mentions it. I just want to let you know what it is. So here we have another video clip.
I've come to depend on the quality of the food here. And when I'm in another city and I'm not at the co-op, even when I'm in this city and I can't get to the co-op, I have a little bit of a panic attack eating food or even thinking of buying food from another place because I just trust the food here so much.
Can you give me concrete examples of things that you've had that freak you out at other stores?
Just everything. I mean, first of all, everything seems. If you go to kind of a gourmet grocery store where they have similar food that they have here, it's unbelievably expensive. It's like shocking. I think there's something really nauseating for some Americans about capitalism and just how powerful it is in our society. And I think here in Park Slope and in Brooklyn and in New York, and I'm sure in other communities as well, there's just people are becoming ill with it. So here you don't have to see a lot of signage and stuff. They're saying, oh, this is natural or this is organic, and you don't trust that it actually is natural or organic. You know, it all seems like, when I walk into a Whole Foods after being a member of the co-op, I feel like I'm walking into Disneyland. It feels so fake. I've come to depend on the quality of the food here. And when I'm in another city and...
Yep, that's finished, yeah. So what I find is interesting about that clip is, I don't know if you've been into Whole Foods, but it does kind of feel like Disneyland. It feels, or she also calls it a movie set. It feels like a movie set. She said something very interesting, not on camera. She said, Whole Foods, like a lot of places, if you walk in, there are piles of stuff. You walk into a Whole Foods, there's a pile, a mountain of oranges, a mountain of expensive rounds of Parmesan cheese, all this kind of, it's just, it's like you've come into a food factory explosion. And the reason, of course, marketing-wise for that is they want to give the idea that you have walked into something that is an infinite abundance of products, so that it's this fantasy situation. You can take thing and it will always be replaced, right? And in the same way that like in every supermarket, if you take something off of the shelf, somebody goes around and pulls, this happens in all of your supermarkets, somebody pulls all the products to the front because it's also a marketing thing. They want you to think that you're like a pioneer and you're the first or second maybe person to take this food, right? And the funny thing that she said on the phone to me is she said, look, when I walk into a Whole Foods, even though all this marketing energy has gone into me thinking, I'm the queen and I have my choice of all of this stuff, what I actually experience is waste. I look and I see waste. And she said, at the co-op, what's incredible, I see the co-op, which she describes as always looking like a supermarket before a hurricane, right? Which is to say completely depleted, things are out of stock. She said, paradoxically, that tells me that the things in that store are fresh, okay? And so what she has with that is that what my conclusion is with this anti-consumer kind of atmosphere that's created at Park Slope is that what's happened by having something where it's the people themselves who are the owners and the workers, they've created a zone where that kind of marketing energy has completely disappeared, and so that allows them to be in a situation in which they feel like having social interactions at the supermarket. And so we found that also at the Louvre, we have a buying club there, that if you take that kind of stuff away, the thing of developing liens or links between people when it's around food, if you take that sense of you're in somebody else's house, you make it so that you're in your own house, the liens it's a natural impulse, and it happens naturally there and also in Paris. Thank you.